The Nancy Guthrie investigation has reached a critical tipping point, transitioning from a desperate search for a missing grandmother into a clinical analysis of a premeditated operation. New details have emerged that shift the focus from the streets of Tucson to the internal circuitry of a seized laptop belonging to Nancy's son-in-law, Tomaso Chioni. What federal investigators discovered within that device is not merely a collection of files. It is a digital roadmap for a crime that was authored long before it was executed. According to sources familiar with the matter, these recovered documents are far from random. They include search histories, handwritten digital notes, and encrypted PDFs that point toward one deeply disturbing pattern. Someone using that device was researching the exact mechanics of how a kidnapping is planned, executed, and covered up. These weren't casual inquiries. These were repeated, because obsessive queries related to abduction methods, undetected movement, and evidence disposal. The digital breadcrumbs left behind do not read like the concerns of a family member, they read like the operational manual of an architect. To truly grasp the weight of this evidence, one must look at the timeline of premeditation, which suggests the night of January 31st, 2026, was not the beginning of the story, but its final act. The architecture of the crime dates back 7 months earlier. In June 2025, a specific search for Nancy Guthrie's residential address was made using Google Trends data. The search wasn't for her name or her reputation, it was for the geographic coordinates of her home. This search was repeated multiple times, suggesting digital surveillance designed to map a target's environment. This is what investigators call target acquisition, the phase where a perpetrator moves from a general idea to a specific victim. By January 11th, 2026, just 20 days before she vanished, FBI sources believe a reconnaissance trip took place. A figure appeared at her front door, testing the approach, measuring response times, and studying camera angles. This level of operational discipline is consistent with sophisticated criminal activity. 8 days before the disappearance, on January 23rd, a neighbor's Ring camera captured a figure walking backward down the street. Some analysts describe this as the backward walker, a technique used to confirm blind spots and ensure the perpetrator would remain a ghost on the night of the strike. The execution on the evening of January 31st was carried out with the precision of a rehearsed operation. At 9:50 p.m., Tomaso Chioni dropped Nancy off, waiting until the garage door closed, the last confirmed moment she was seen alive. Then, the digital blackout began. At 1:47 a.m., the Google Nest doorbell camera was manually disconnected, a targeted severance rather than a power failure. At 2:13 a.m., motion was detected, but because the camera subscription had conveniently lapsed, no video was preserved. The perpetrator appeared to know this administrative detail in advance. Finally, at 2:28 a.m., the most chilling piece of data emerged. Nancy's pacemaker application lost its connection to her smartphone. Within a 5-hour window, every digital tether to her existence, her security, her medical status, and her location was systematically severed. This was a mechanical sabotage that required intimate knowledge of both the home's infrastructure and Nancy's personal medical vulnerabilities. The investigation now circles 4 key figures, each carrying a detail that refuses to resolve. Nancy Guthrie, 84, was fiercely independent, but medically dependent on a pacemaker. Family insiders suggest she was uncomfortable with the level of access her son-in-law, Tomaso Chioni, maintained over her security infrastructure. Tomaso, a 46-year-old musician and a trained performer, has maintained a stony silence for 30 days, giving 0 interviews. Interestingly, a power of attorney signed in May 2025, 8 months before the disappearance, transferred all financial authority to his wife, Annie Guthrie Chioni. While analysts call this routine, Dutch investigators look at the timing. Annie herself remains present and cooperative, yet the vehicle she shared with Tomaso was impounded for weeks, even after the family was publicly cleared. If the clearance were genuine, why was the forensic extraction on the vehicle so prolonged? Then there is Dominic Evans, a 19-year friend of Tomaso and a fellow band member. Evans carries felony convictions for burglary and robbery, yet skills that align perfectly with the physical profile required to enter a home at 2:13 a.m. and remove a victim by force. The evidence is now converging on 2 distinct tracks, the physical and the digital. A first pass of the laptop revealed encrypted documents and communication logs from the 72 hours preceding the crime. However, a second forensic pass, triggered by a storage anomaly, revealed a concealed directory protected by specialized encryption software. This secondary partition contained files with timestamps between January 28th and January 31st. The contents, while not public, are confirmed to be material to the investigation. On the physical side, a leather glove recovered 2 miles from Nancy's home remains the most critical forensic asset. The DNA on that glove belongs to an unknown male. It does not match Tomaso, and it does not match anyone in CODIS, the FBI's database of 22 million profiles. This is where the forensic paradox begins. Watch it, because Dominic Evans is a felon. His DNA is already in CODIS. If the glove doesn't match him, it means the person who wore it has a clean profile, someone who has never been caught. This combination of an insider architect and a ghost operative suggests a coordinated conspiracy. Behavioral experts argue that the operational discipline, the camera disabling, the subscription exploitation, and the pacemaker timing does not emerge from a single individual acting on impulse. This was authorship. Wajaz retired FBI agents state, providing access and disabling security is not assistance, it is culpability. The anonymous ransom call made to TMZ at 2:13 a.m. used the phrase, the main individual, which is organizational language implying a structured hierarchy. This suggests the presence of a leader and an executor. The geographic triangle of this crime is tight. The distance between the suspect's residences and Nancy's home is only a few miles, but the genetic genealogy points further south. A partial match has narrowed the origin of the unknown DNA to the Rico corridor, 60 miles south of Tucson and 16 miles from the Mexican border. This is terrain designed for disappearance, where a vehicle leaving Nancy's neighborhood at 2:30 a.m. could arrive before sunrise. Furthermore, legal experts point toward the financial motive hidden behind the May 2025 power of attorney. Why would a healthy, then independent woman like Nancy Guthrie cede such control unless she was being digitally manipulated or socially isolated? The Pima County Sheriff's Department has been tight-lipped, but the sheer volume of forensic data being processed suggests a case that spans beyond Arizona's borders. The storage anomaly on the laptop indicates that someone involved had a high degree of technical proficiency, with she likely using virtual private networks, VPNs, and onion routers to mask their digital trail during the research phase. However, even the best encryption leaves a timestamp on the physical drive, and that is what the FBI has successfully unsealed. This second layer of files is believed to contain the endgame scenario, the final destination for Nancy Guthrie. The truth is now locked inside that second layer of encryption and the partial DNA family tree currently being built by forensic genealogists. The silence of Tomaso Chioni speaks as loudly as the data on his hard drive. For 30 days, the inner circle has waited, but the digital footprints are beginning to catch up. Someone watching this knows the final location of Nancy Guthrie. They know if she was taken to the Rico corridor or if she remains closer to home. The mainstream media has refused to connect these dots, the laptop files, the glove, and the man who has never been cleared, but the evidence is undeniable. The architect may have designed a perfect crime, but in the digital age, there is no such thing as a perfect erasure. Every severed connection, from the Nest camera to the pacemaker, left a timestamp that points back to the source. The question remains, what is inside those final encrypted folders? And does it contain the name investigators have been circling for a month? As the sun sets over the Sonoran Desert, the clock is ticking for the operative and the architect. The genetic genealogy process is an unstoppable force. It is only a matter of time before a distant relative's DNA links that glove to a specific family name in the Southwest. When that happens, the clean profile will have a face, and the architect's silence will no longer matter. This investigation is no longer about if they find out what happened, but when. The unseen hands that guided this operation are being exposed by the very technology they tried to sabotage. The main individual behind the TMZ call, the drummer with a criminal past, the musician with the power of attorney, they are all part of a puzzle that is finally being assembled. Even more disturbing is the concept of the psychological warfare used in the months leading up to January. So insiders suggest that Nancy had mentioned glitches in her security system to friends. Glitches that we now know were likely controlled tests by the architect. By systematically eroding her trust in her own home's safety, the perpetrator ensured that on the night of the event, she would be disoriented and easier to manage. The forensic psychologist Dr. Rachel Simmons notes that this type of predatory behavior is rare, but devastatingly effective. It transforms the home from a sanctuary into a trap. In the end, this case will be decided not by a single witness, but by the unification of data points. The Pima County residential triangles, the Rico corridor, the encrypted laptop partitions, and the CODIS ghost profile are all converging. The silence that has lasted 30 days is not a shield, it is a timer. Every hour that passes brings the FBI's forensic team closer to decrypting the final files. That every hour brings the genealogy labs closer to identifying the unknown male. The architect may have thought they were playing a game of chess against an 84-year-old woman, but they are actually playing against the unrelenting memory of the digital world. The criminal culpability here is shared. Whether you are the one who disabled the camera or the one who physically took the victim, the law sees you as part of the same conspiratorial unit. The authorship of crime is a powerful legal concept, one that prosecutors will use to ensure that the person behind the screen is held just as responsible as the person in the house. The legal repercussions for aggravated kidnapping and conspiracy to commit abduction carry life sentences in Arizona. This is why the silence is so absolute. The stakes are as high as they can get. We must also consider the missing car keys and the garage door mechanism. If Nancy was dropped off at 9:50 p.m., who possessed the keys to enter the home later without breaking a window? There was no forced entry reported. This leads back to the insider theory. A key copying service or a spare key location known only to the family could be the missing link. Forensic teams have been dusting every corner of the house for fingerprints that shouldn't be there, but the operative was careful, likely wearing the very leather gloves, one of which was discarded 2 miles away. And the genetic trail is narrowing, and the digital vault is being cracked. The silence is about to be broken. Someone knows where she is. Is it the architect, the operative, or the person reading this right now? The world is watching, and the digital evidence never sleeps.